What up, middle school students? It is Yasmin here. I am super excited because we have some awesome stuff planned for this service. We know Thanksgiving is coming up, so Nick and I thought it would be best to taste the best apple pie for this Thanksgiving dinner. And we're gonna have an awesome message talking about what it means when we judge people and what God thinks about that. And then we're gonna end off with an awesome song of worship. So I'll see you in the rest of the service. Hey guys!
What's up?
It's Yasmin.
And I'm Nick.
And we are super excited because Thanksgiving is coming up and we
Ooh.
are going to be taste testing different apple pies and we're gonna rank which one is the best. So we have McDonald's in the corners. Nick gets his own and I get my own.
I get mine.
And then we have a pie from Ralph's. We're super excited. And then we have an apple pie from Sprouts.
Farmers Market.
Sprouts
Don't forget
Farmers
the
Market.
Farmers Market field.
So I'm excited because this probably can help you when you're choosing out a pie for Thanksgiving. I mean, like, Mom, I remember Yasmin and Nick said that this pie was the best. So I'm ready to test it out. Which one do you want to try first? I'll let you pick.
Oh man, this is tough. I mean, I have a feeling this is gonna be really good. And you know how they say, save the best for last.
Save the best for last. Yeah.
So okay, let's go with Ralph's.
That's what I was thinking
We're gonna go
too,
with
because I was like, this
your
looks
typical
good.
grocery store
apple pie.
Okay, let's go. You go first.
Okay.
Go ahead and see. Let's see. Yep.
I think it's
Gotta make sure it's the right bite.
Okay.
That could ruin the whole thing,
Yeah.
depending on what kind of bite you get. You know
I
what
don't
I mean?
really like apple pies, so this is
Yeah.
gonna be interesting.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
So this, you'll have an authentic like reaction.
Gotta make sure you
out
get
of
some
me.
apples, some
Yeah.
crust. Okay. Now.
Ready? I wish it was warm, but if we're gonna
That's what
judge
it
this on
needs.
cold, it's not that bad.
It actually isn't that bad. If it was warm with some like vanilla
Ice
ice cream, game over. Like y'all
Yeah.
ever do that?
But
ice cream.
there's something missing, and I'm hoping that like I can pinpoint what it was. This one,
it is
guys,
fulfilled.
the Sprouts one looks good, so I
Okay.
think we should try it. The
All
Ralph's.
right, we're gonna go with the farmers market. Don't forget that because they
Sprouts
take
Farmers
a lot of
Market.
pride in their farmers market approach to apple pies. Very nice. Wow, this one's a little smaller. The decoration and how they made it, you know,
Okay.
it looks like it's screaming, yes, I want to win. Okay. Ooh, this one. Okay, here we go.
Ooh.
Okay. No. Yeah, you're like,
That one is so good.
You liked it.
I really could eat the whole thing.
Yeah, that one actually was. It's gooier. This one's like needs
Oh my
like
god.
some more moisture.
Okay, this one's like
This one.
this
Yo,
one.
they left this one in the oven for too
Yeah.
long.
It's just crispy. This one is like melting in my mouth.
That one was good. Okay.
10 out of 10.
All right, 10
All right,
out
this
of
one's
10.
an apple fritter, so it's technically it's like the McDonald's version of like their apple pie.
Yes.
But
So, okay. Well, let's do this. Yep.
the Lord has blessed that.
I could rock with it. Like, you know, sometimes at Thanksgiving you don't have a home to go to, so you're like, I need to make Thanksgiving myself. Go to McDonald's, man. They've got
I
apple
don't-
fritters.
I don't know which one's gonna take first place for me.
I know. You know what, Yasmin? I've decided in my mind and in my heart.
Okay.
Listen, I know we got 3 different venues represented here, but I'm gonna have to go with the farmers market.
Yeah, the Sprouts one
Sprouts.
was by far the best one.
Crown the.
Go to Sprouts. It's only $4.99, so it's like not even expensive. Like the Ralph's one was $10 and $10 of a ripoff because the Sprouts one. I'm joking.
It is so good. She is still
it is
eating
so
the
good.
apple.
I'm choking on my water.
Amazing stuff. So, happy Thanksgiving
Yeah,
to
happy
y'all.
Thanksgiving, guys. We love you, and we're so thankful that you have been watching us for about like 6-7 months now. So I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you guys next week. I want to start by asking you a question. What comes to mind when you hear the word judgmental? I know a lot of us probably have different things running through our head right now when it comes to judging someone or someone judging us. Maybe today you were in your Zoom classroom or Google Classroom, whatever it is that you're using, and there's always that one kid that always has his webcam on and he always feels like he knows it all, always asking the questions, and you're like judging him like, dude, chill out. Literally, it's just a Zoom call. Yeah, we probably all have judged that kid in some shape or form. But maybe it's a little bit more personal when someone actually judges you. I remember when I was in middle school, girls were really mean to me. I remember there was also this one time in PE where this guy literally grabbed my ponytail and banged my head on the floor for no reason. Then I moved schools, and then another guy kicked me for literally no reason. And then I moved to a different school, and some guy told me, Yasmin, you talk too much. If you keep talking, I'm gonna pour Gatorade all over your head. And I was like, what? And he's like, oh, you just started opening your mouth again. And he opened the Gatorade bottle and he poured that Gatorade bottle all over my head. And I know a lot of us have maybe been told a bunch of lies about ourselves. No matter what it is, when it comes to being critical to someone, or maybe someone is judging you, it somewhat affects your life, the way that you think about yourself, and you start to feel really bad and gross, and it's just not a fun feeling when you are being judged. So we're gonna dive a little bit deeper and see what God has to say about that.
Have you ever noticed how judgmental you are? Okay, that was so judgmental. I just called you out, but let's be honest. You and me, we judge a lot, and judging is not a bad thing necessarily. It's good to be able to discern if something's good or bad, but oftentimes we can go a lot overboard and actually judge people based on things that we probably shouldn't be judging in the first place, and then tell somebody else about what we judged. And that's usually where rumors start and people get hurt. But if you didn't know, there's good news and bad news to all this judging. The good news is this: it's natural. The thing about, especially you as a student, as you're growing up, your brain is slowly becoming more and more judging, which means your brain is slowly starting to decide what things are good and bad, if you should run away, if you should hide, or if you should talk to somebody. Again, all, for the most part, good things, but the bad part is that oftentimes this judging can almost be overwhelming, and we have no idea how to handle all of this stuff that our brain does when it comes to judging.
You see, judgment is tricky because it's actually a part of God's design. Our maturing brain has got to be able to figure out what's unfair and what's right and what's wrong. So we have to exercise judgment and look out to see what's right and what's not right in the world. The problem comes when we use that ability to judge people in a negative way. When we choose to be tough and critical on others, that's when that judgmental spirit comes out of us, and that's unfair to other people. Maybe for you, judgment comes from the way you speak or act towards certain people. Maybe it's because you're talking behind someone's back and causing to lose their trust and causing other people to gang up and not like that person as well. Are we spreading rumors? Are we gossiping about others? Are we judging people by how they dress, how they act, the way they walk, the way they talk? Are we looking at them and disqualifying them as someone who could be a friend of yours or just a person that you could get along with? That's when we start to fall into judgment.
Maybe you don't even mean to hurt their feelings or cause any harm. But reality is, when you treat or speak about someone unfairly and judge them, you're the one causing injustice. Let me say that again. When you treat or speak about someone unfairly, and when you judge them, you are the one causing injustice. And here's what's tricky about that. God calls us to do something about injustice, to look out and to do something about it when we see injustice happening around us. But how can we do this and do it well if we are the ones being unfair to others? How can we act the way Jesus wants us to if we're causing injustice with our judgments of others?
One of Jesus's most pivotal moments in his whole entire ministry here on earth was a day and a specific sermon called Sermon on the Mount. This is where he did a sermon on a mountain. And as he got on top of this mountain, there were hundreds, if not thousands of people surrounding him. And a lot of the people that were surrounding him were called either the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the scribes. They were different sects of what you'd call religion. These were all religious people waiting to hear what God was gonna say through Jesus. They were there essentially to really judge him. And they were feeling pretty good. I mean, all these people that were listening to Jesus were kind of waiting to see what he was going to say. It was kind of like that, that time when after you hear a sermon, your friend would be like, yeah, you really need to hear this one. It's like, are you kidding me? Why are you judging me when you're listening to a sermon? But that's what they were all doing, waiting to judge. But then Jesus did something that nobody expected. He essentially called out religious people. He essentially said that religion is actually not the way to live a fulfilling life. He essentially just shocked the whole entire world with his sermon called Sermon on the Mount.
So in his Sermon on the Mount, Jesus went on to talk about judgment, okay? And, judgment for us, maybe we do it, sometimes we don't. It's a little more gray. We know for sure that if we murder someone, that's definitely a sin. Or if we commit adultery and cheat on someone, that's something a little more obvious. But judgment can sometimes be a little more tricky. And that one, we really need help from God to help us see if we're actually being judgmental. Think about it. We're quick to judge other people. We're so quick to see other people's problems and judge it when we oftentimes look past the own thing going on in our own heart. God wants us to have eyes open and see that God sees everything. He sees both sides of the story, and sometimes someone could be doing something wrong, but what's going on inside our hearts? What's causing us to be judgmental that we're deciding to look past? We've been talking about injustice in this series and how much God wants to use us to make the wrongs right in this world. But here's the bottom line. If we really want to solve the injustice in this world, we got to have God solve the injustice that's going on inside of our hearts.
So, how do we do that well? Well, luckily, Jesus had something to say about that. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. So look at what Jesus is describing here. He is saying you notice a speck of sawdust in someone's eye and it's super tiny, but it's preventing you from seeing. So obviously you're gonna have someone in your life that's like, hey, I think you have something in your eye. Let me help you out there.
This was a very dramatic verse or passage that Jesus was talking about in the Sermon on the Mount. He gives a lot of dramatic statements, basically trying to help people think a different way that they've never thought before. But what he was saying is, don't worry about the small thing in somebody else's eye. If you have this huge plank, you're like knocking into things, you're like falling down. Obviously this is not even physically possible. But what he's saying is, if you are first judging somebody else, you can often be missing out on things that you could be working on yourself. Here's the bottom line of the whole entire message. If you want to have one thing that you remember from this whole entire message, it's this. Before you look for an injustice in somebody else's life, look for an injustice in your life first. And if you are able to do that, I promise you that people will trust you more. They will have the ability to actually believe in who you are, because you're not looking for faults in them first. You're trying to fix yourself first. And if they might ask, you might tell them, hey, I've noticed this about your life. But if you are doing something that Jesus says not to do, which is look for the dust in somebody else's eye, you're essentially being a hypocrite. You're looking for all the issues in everybody else, but there's actually several issues that you haven't worked on yourself. This was a big point of emphasis in the message on the Sermon on the Mount.
Ask God to show you where you might be causing injustice in someone's life. Then ask him to help you deal with it. Maybe for some of you, that means apologizing to someone you've hurt with your judgmental words or behaviors. Or maybe you need to pray and confess some judgmental thoughts to God, asking him to give you forgiveness. And finally, we got to take a step towards change. Ask yourself, how can I change my thinking or my words or my actions so that I don't cause injustice or harm to others again? Whatever that is for you, commit to taking just one step towards changing your judgments toward other people. Because when you do, You'll be taking a step towards dealing with injustice the way Jesus has called us to.
So how do we notice the things that might be causing harm or injustice to someone else? I really think it begins with self-reflection. And I feel like for me, that is the best way to take the plank out of my own eye, is to ask myself, okay, how was I this week? So for you, you might ask yourself, how was I being mean or unfair to someone else? Did I judge someone this week in my head? A racist comment, something that was sexist, making fun of someone's religion? Maybe you said something really mean to your friend on social media and asking yourself, like, could I have been more like Jesus in this moment? Reflect on those questions, and I think you know in your head ways that maybe you have been treating people not fair and just causing straight up injustice. But it's okay, there's grace and there's room to grow.
The bottom line again is, before you look for injustice in somebody else, look for injustice inside of you. We're about to sing a song called Build My Life, and I love this song specifically for this message, because what we're trying to say is that we build our lives on justice and not injustice. We build our lives on first looking in ourselves and what God might be doing and the movement that he's doing inside of our own souls before we quickly judge other people, like the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes. We want to be more like Jesus and less like the religious leaders. And that first means looking for the injustice in our own lives. We're first trying to build our lives in the way of Jesus, and then we might help somebody else. So here's a question just for you to ponder and reflect as you're listening to the song and worshiping and looking to God. And it's this: is there an injustice inside of you that you might need to work on? Whether it be the fact that you might be bullying people, or the fact that you might be doing something late at night that you probably shouldn't be doing, spending way too much time on your screen, whether it be Night Fort, TubeU. I use the same jokes over and over again, but Fortnite, YouTube, whatever it is. What injustice inside of you that you might need to work on before you look on somebody else's injustice? So as we sing this song, Build My Life, I really hope that you'll be able to reflect on your own life.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Yeah. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Yeah. You're worthy, worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Yeah. Jesus, the name above every other name. Yeah. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you, Jesus. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around. Holy, and there is no one like you, and there is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Show us your love. Ooh. Fill us up with your love, God. Show us who you are. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone. And I will not be shaken, and I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone. And I will not be shaken. Holy, and there is no one like you, and there is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around. Holy, and there is no one like you, and there is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone. And I will not be shaken.
What an awesome message. I seriously love talking about the topic of being judgmental because I feel like it's something that each and every single one of us struggles with in some shape or form. But if you haven't watched last week's episode of our series, Look Out, you can find it here. Or if you haven't watched any of the rest of our videos, you can find the rest here on the screen. But enough of me. I will see you guys next week.